Hello and welcome to the hearing. I'm John.
And from Chicago's North Side, I'm Scotto.
And before we get to this week's album, first off, I want to mention that Punch Brothers have released their latest album as of last Friday when we're recording this. It's called The Unsung Adventures of Punch Brothers. It is their first instrumental album, first all instrumental album. It's also the debut of Brittany Haas on fiddle. She replaced founding member Gabe Witcher a few years ago. And it is downright acoustic prog to the point where the song titles actually tell a bit of a story. It starts with New Bike, and then there's a track called Port Hole. And I said that specifically like that to establish the difference between Portal, which is a later
Right.
track. Um, and then there's some of the song titles. June Apple Poisoned. My favorite track and my favorite title, Saturn Pogo Ball of the Gods. There's just a handful of titles in the middle that are very fantastical, and the music is very experimental. Like Punch Brothers are always experimental. They've covered not covered in the sense of doing covers because they've only done a handful of those, but they in their own music and their covers they've done almost every genre. I don't think they've done metal or punk, but that's what the Sinners are Bridge City Sinners are for. Um,
Okay.
but it gets very experimental, very complicated.
This is like their first album in 4 years, is it?
Uh, three or four. The last one I think was 2002 or 2002, 2022. Second time I made that mistake tonight. Um,
Yeah. Time's a motherfucker.
and it was a kind of a cover album.
Yeah.
A tribute album of a bunch of other artists. This is their first original album since like 19, I think, 2018, 2019. Um,
You almost said 19. Oh, 2019.
I
Okay.
said, well, I said I tend to say just the last two numbers for the year, and I want to specify. Um, if you like experimental kind of jazz influenced acoustic music, highly, highly recommend. One of my favorite albums I've ever heard, easily my favorite album of the year. Um,
Wow.
Also, I want to mention I have a new cover out. I don't do covers that often anymore because I had to move my computer last winter and it's now in my bedroom. My bed is behind me and I don't want that on camera. And it feels weird to do a cover off camera, like with just a still image. Even though I've done a few, but I had to do this one because I covered a Fireside Shadow song, Glass Figure. We reviewed Fireside Shadow's debut album, uh, What If I'm Right, last year. Reba Doherty, is aka Fireside Shadow, is a friend of mine who I met from the indie community on Threads. Uh, I asked her last January if it was okay if I covered one of her songs. So it took me months to finally get this out the door between learning it completely by ear, probably completely reharmonizing it,
Oh, wait a
and
minute.
moving my
Last
computer.
January or
Yeah,
just this like 7 months
this past
ago?
January, not January of last year. This past
Okay.
January. Um,
Okay.
but still, that's a long time to get a cover out.
Yeah.
It would have been out a week earlier, but Reba was on vacation visiting family when I, sent the message to her. So took her about a week to get back to me. She loves it, so that's all I was hoping for. Uh, and I think I did a pretty good job with it. The original, it's electric guitar and not a lot of chords, a lot of single note stuff. So I have to extrapolate that to chords because all I have is just a uke. Um,
Right.
so that was a lot of the challenge is finding chords that fit with what the Respire, the guitarist, was playing and with Reba's vocal, and then just singing something that she sang because Reba's got an incredible voice and I don't. But I think it did her justice.
Yeah, it must have been a challenge to sing. There was
Mm,
like one point in the middle where I'm like, wait a minute, and then they're like, oh no, you're just emoting
yeah. Uh,
in the loss, but you sold it that well.
yeah. Um, so yeah, months of practice paid off for that. But so yeah, check that out if you want. The links will be down there, and of course, I have to recommend Fireside Shadows music. It's amazing. I'm a huge fan, and not just because we're friends. I was a fan long before we were friends. Uh, just makes great music. And finally, on to this week's album, which is from 1986 Crowded House by Crowded House. Incidentally, I didn't do this intentionally, but we're recording on a Wednesday and or now technically Thursday at 12:35 a.m. and this coming Saturday will be the 40th anniversary of this album.
How could that be?
Time, man. It does that. Um,
Well, well, no. Unless maybe I graduated in '87, but I'm remembering this in eighth grade.
Wikipedia says 86.
Yeah. Huh.
Crowded House are, yes, are, they're still together, are an Australian New Zealand rock band formed in Melbourne in 1985 by two former members of the band Split Enz, and are, of course, best known for their song Don't Dream It's Over, which is from their self titled debut studio album. It was released on August 1st, 1986, on Capitol Records and re released internationally on EMI Records, produced by Mitchell Froome, love that name, and features Neil Finn on lead and backing vocals, guitar, and piano, Nick Seymour on bass, and Paul Hester on drums, with additional musicians Mitchell Froome on keyboards, Tim Pierce on guitar, Jerry Sheff and Jim Keltner on bass and drums respectively on Now We're Getting Somewhere, Jorge Bermudez on percussion, the Heart Attack horns on, of course, horns, and Noel Crombie, Jim Gilstrap, Andy Milton, and Joe Satriani, yes, that Joe Satriani, on backing
Really?
vocals. Reminder, I don't edit any songs into our reviews for copyright reasons, but down there you'll find links to Crowded House on Spotify and YouTube, so you can follow along if you'd like. Track 1, Mean to Me. The opening words are, She Came. That's pretty bold. Couldn't resist.
This this album's always weirded me out, and I think as time has gone on, I've been weirded out more and more by it. Just
Uh,
like the
okay.
cover image
The cover
was
is pretty
always
weird.
strange back then.
Yeah.
It's the drummer, what was his name again? Hester?
Hester. Paul Hester.
Yeah, Paul has, is kind of ascending like this angel over them, and the two of them, just other two are just, the Finns
Mm.
are just kind
Well, it's Finn and Nick Seymour.
of,
The other Finn didn't come until later. Several albums later.
oh, okay, okay. All right. So yeah, the two of them are just kind of moping, and he like ascends,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, Hester wound up committing suicide
Ooh.
sometime, like I think
Uh,
the early 2000s, I
uh,
believe. And it was weird before that,
huh.
and now it kind of puts it into a thing.
Wow.
And so I'm listening to this track, and of course
And
the drop hits in.
next thing in my notes, there is a suicide reference in like a line too.
It's like when the drop hits, like
Uh,
your friend's committing suicide. And I was
a
just like,
drop. Yeah.
yeah, woof,
Mm.
okay.
I do like how it picks up in the chorus. Good groove once it comes in. Like the aggressive vocal. All I knew before this was the obvious "Don't Dream It's Over," something so strong. So hearing Neil Finn sing this aggressively was a nice surprise.
It was.
Great drum fill in the second chorus.
And the horns are kind of unexpected.
Yeah, not sure how I feel about them.
The horns are kind of unexpected, and I think, added a little weirdness to it, but I think the keyboards are a bridge too far.
Hmm. But I do like that shrieking trumpet at the end.
Yeah. I mean, vocally, Finn is doing like, I think it's James Brown. I mean, he's definitely doing like a soul singer,
uh,
he's going for that. And he's just pushing it that hard that he's actually doing James. How the fuck does he still have a singing voice if he can push his voice like this for over 40
there are
years?
ways to do it healthily.
Because I mean, he still has his voice.
Hmm.
Like Fleetwood Mac hired him
Yeah,
to replace
Buckingham. Yeah.
Buckingham for the voice, I think, more than anything
Yeah.
else.
Well, Finn plays rhythm on this one. He doesn't play a lot of leads, so he's
Right,
not a lead
right,
guitarist.
right.
Tim Pierce played all the leads, except sort of the simpler stuff. All the interesting leads were Tim Pierce, who was like a legendary session player.
I'm also not sure if this is a solid opening track for this album. I mean,
Hmm.
I think I get why it's the opening track. I think it bookends very well with the final track,
Uh-huh.
or the last two
Yeah.
tracks at the end. So I think they were working thematically
Mhm.
in sound, I guess. But as an opening track, it's kind of a, huh, okay.
Yeah. Track two, World Where You Live. Always love an electric piano. It's got a good groove. Really like the verse melody. Love that subtle slap bass in the verse. Nice smooth timing change into the chorus. The chorus and verse are completely different.
I'm picking this one. I'm going with this one as my
Wow.
pick for
All right.
strongest. Vocally, he lifts this all on his own with sheer, spit and determination. I mean, he's pretty much doing gospel.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you also kind of realize lyrically, he really is good.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, just this whole upbeat sound, but the whole imagery is, of deception, or that the grass is always greener, and you
Mhm.
you think there's this thing that's perfect, and it's just like, yeah, but is it?
Right.
And yeah, he just, like, that beginning, the verse is kind of this, kind of soul, funk kind of thing. Stevie Wonder, I guess you would say.
Yeah, a little bit.
That line
Mhm.
of, but the chorus, he goes even beyond Stevie's voice, which is like really crazy
Well,
to think about.
the chorus is kind of
He,
this upbeat kind of folk rock thing, which was a hell of a left turn.
I would say it's almost gospel though, like
In a
that
sense, in the
chorus.
harmonies, the big harmonies are
Yeah,
very gospel, but musically, it's more folky.
yeah,
Track three. Now we're getting somewhere. I like that accordion intro. Good groove even
yeah.
before the rhythm section comes in. Chef and Keltner are icons. The rhythm section on this one, but I have to admit I miss Seymour and Hester. Um, Great gang vocals in the chorus. There's a guitar part going into the second verse that is practically lifted directly from Last Train to Clarksville.
Okay. I was thinking they were going for Squeeze, but I think they just had the same influences.
My first thought was they lifted it from a Beatles song, and I had to listen to that guitar part like 4 times. I'm like, wait, that's Last Train to Clarksville.
All right, I could see that. I could see them go for that. The bass is like a 50s rockabilly
Yeah,
thing, Yeah, It it's kind of hidden a little bit, but if you just listen to the bass, you're just like, wait, he's doing like all these little like kind of
yeah.
rolls and
Well,
stuff
that's why
with
you
it.
bring in Jerry Chef.
Yeah, but you could picture him playing this on like a doghouse,
Yeah,
but he wasn't though.
and Jim Keltner played with best known playing for the Wilburys, so he does that kind of 50s-ish thing.
Okay, okay.
Um, and there's this great 12-string guitar solo, which is a nice change of pace for Tim Pierce. Normally, he does these blazing leads. He played on Change with the John Waite version. He played on Runaway before Bon Jovi was a band.
Huh.
He played with Rick Springfield for a number of years, so he does this more blazing leads thing. But so a 12-string solo is an interesting change of pace for him. Track four, Don't Dream It's Over. I am not taking the coward's way out, though I have never been more tempted to take the coward's way out because
You could
I fucking love this song.
hear my head like tilting.
I will go to great lengths to not take the coward's way out. I'm not doing it, but I was very very close because I fucking adore this song. That opening riff is just iconic. Love
Yeah,
that lead bass into the verse. Beautiful vocal melody. Great groove. Stunning harmonies in the chorus.
yeah,
Love that delayed guitar on the right. Great organ solo. Brilliant chordal guitar solo. Pierce is a damn genius. Yeah, I cannot say I cannot speak more highly enough about this song.
it's different from everything else on the album so far,
Mm-hmm.
like there's no just straight up ballad like this. Um, a lot of the music feels like it's really just dressing for Finn's voice and the
Oh
harmonies,
yeah,
which,
he
I
wrote the vast
mean,
majority of it. So,
yeah,
or
yeah.
I think he wrote or co-wrote everything, and most of it was written solo.
The solo is so simple, but I mean, it's just perfect for the
Yeah,
song. And of course, if you're doing an 80s playlist, you gotta have
of
this on
course.
it. It's just fucking
Uh,
crazy if you don't.
yeah.
The organ at the end is pure high school dance, you know.
I just love a Hammond B3.
And I mean, it's interesting that they even put it there. Like, that's how this regular ballad just ends. And do you think Satriani's doing backing vocals on this song?
There are points where it's more gang vocals than harmonies.
Yeah.
So I think he probably came in on those songs because we've heard Satriani sing. He did vocals on like one or two albums. He cannot sing.
Okay.
So I suspect the stuff with the more gang vocals it is probably where Satriani comes in. Track 5, Love You Till the Day I Die. This is my pick for favorite. Love that opening scream. Great groove, great bass tone. Love all of the heavy lead guitar. Love the vocal melody. Love all of the guitars in the chorus, especially the atonal one. And those weird synths in the second verse. And all of that lead bass in the bridge. And adore that giant drum fill in the last verse. I just, this song is madness and it's chaos and it's beautiful. And there's no last chorus, which is a great touch.
I've I've listened to this album a few times in the past,
You should point
and
out you were the one who suggested this song, and you've been really this album, and you've really been looking forward to it.
and uh, eh, and it made me laugh out loud the first time, listening to it for this, because Don't Dream It's Over was obviously a sequel, a single that they were,
Right? Yeah.
chasing a hit for.
Uh-huh. It
And
worked.
the next song is obviously a single they're putting that they're, chasing a hit
Right.
for. So what to put in the middle of that?
Absolute
This
madness.
batshit crazy thing where he, like, as soon as he started screaming at the beginning of the song, I just started laughing because it's like, yeah, like fuck you. We could do this too. They just do this whole weird funky thing. And yeah, it's great. And this is the note where I'm like, how does Finn still have a voice after all these years?
There's a
It's
healthy
shit.
way to do it. But like I said,
Really?
I was so close to picking "Don't Dream It's Over." I hate taking the coward's way out, and then I hear that scream. I'm like, ooh, maybe this, and it just
Yeah.
got better and better. Track 6, Something So Strong, the other big single. Love the organ in the verse, nice groove, nice harmonies in the chorus and bridge, like the palm muted guitar in the bridge. Nice low solo. I think this one might have been Finn because it's a very simple low solo. It's kind of like Pat Denizio. He plays the guitar solos on like maybe two or three Smithereen songs, and they're all, I know one of them is Spellbound, and they're all like low and melodic.
Well, Finn is a co-writer of this one, or at least the main writer,
Well,
so I
he's
think
the main
most
writer or
likely.
co-writer on everything. Um, he's the main songwriter of the band. He just co-wrote a handful of them. Doesn't mean he played the guitar solo, but I think this one's a very simple solo, so he might have played it, and it doesn't sound like Pierce to me.
This one feels more by the numbers. He's
Mm-hmm.
definitely going
Yeah.
for a more whiter pop star. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
they were definitely thinking this is going to be a
Oh yeah.
single, and we're getting that fucking US market. I
Ah,
almost feel like his vocally he's going for Elvis here in some ways. Not like an
interesting.
over exaggerated Elvis, like Elvis
Right.
impersonation, but kind of in that style, because they were
Okay, I can
clearly
hear it.
thinking
Yeah.
of hitting that American
Oh
market
yeah. Oh yeah.
where the money is.
Mm-hmm. Track 7, Hole in the River. Nice atmospheric opening, great groove, love the bass tone, great vocal, like how it picks up in verse 2. Love that misdirect false ending. And there's a great piano solo at the end. I think that piano solo is Finn because he's credited with acoustic piano.
So we begin like this, it's like almost like a mysterious ballad or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and like the backing vocals are nice and eerie. And then yeah, out of nowhere you get this jazzy
Mm-hmm.
section that we're like, wait a minute, what? And then almost a Middle Eastern sound. But
Uh-huh.
remember, everybody, Prague died in the 70s.
Ha
This was not Prague. And then there's like an opera singer somewhere in the last section, which, I mean, the 80s, they kind of threw in opera singers randomly
Yeah,
here and
yeah.
there. There's no opera singer
Looking at you, how sowing the seeds of
credited,
love.
though, I don't think. Yeah.
There isn't. They're background vocalists, so who knows where it came from? Maybe it was one of the background singers. Although
Yeah.
they were all men, I think. Um, so who knows?
Oh,
Um,
right. That sounded like a woman,
mm,
singing opera.
yeah. Track 8, Can't Carry On. I like the noisy opening to the mellow soundscape. Nice
Is
bit of
that like an
contrast there.
outback soundscape?
Yeah. I mean, they are
Like they're hitting
from,
their Australian
they're mostly
roots?
Australian, so
Yeah.
uh, great groove. Love the guitar tone. Love the overlapping vocals in the chorus. This so far was the one song that sounded 80s, and I say so
Yeah.
far.
I think they were going for a little Peter Gabriel here, maybe.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sure if it worked entirely.
Yeah,
I mean, it is interesting still. I thought they were going to go just repeat everything on the way out, and then they do this unexpected breakdown towards
yeah.
the end that you're just like, oh, okay.
Track 9, I Walk Away. Love that guitar tone at the beginning, very stratty. Nice groove, like the bass tone. Another one that sounds very 80s, but I like how loud it gets in the chorus. There's a nice atmospheric break with some great lead bass and some great drum fills.
I think they were going for the verse. They definitely sounded like they were trying to do some Bryan Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Summer '69 was a
Yeah,
few
yeah.
years before this. But then the chorus is like this y- Celtic kind of feel to it, which is like huh, with some synth in there to just make it a little off kilter.
Yeah. Track 10, Tombstone. Like how the acoustic guitar and the synth are mixed in the beginning. Nice bass tone, some nice harmonies in the chorus. I have to question the line in the second chorus. Roll back the tombstone.
So this one I had to like, I've got to look up the lyrics to this
Uh,
because this one, I mean, lyrically is really the center of the song.
uh.
Like musically, it doesn't feel like
There's
there's
not a
as
lot
much
going on
going
there.
on, except for the bass. The bass, runs
Mhm.
away with
Yeah,
it. Um, Everything else is an accent
yeah.
to it. But it's yeah, his imagery is just so, I mean, images of Jesus and
Mhm.
the Lone Ranger in the same song. I I gathered it's about a relationship
Mhm.
that appears to be dying.
Uh,
There's some old story that his partner found out that isn't quite that flattering for him.
right.
So he wants to, quote, throw the memory into an open fire
Yeah,
so you'll be free. And then the resurrection's about them coming back to
yeah.
life, or, quote, the Lone Ranger rides again in your mind. And so it's about his esteem being elevated back
Mhm.
again to whatever it was before this.
There are some brilliant lyrics on this. Like you said, he's a great lyricist. Don't Dream It's Over is downright poetry.
Yeah.
But this one is just, what the fuck? I mean, roll back the tombstone. You don't roll tombstones. He's kind of mixing his metaphors there, and it just doesn't work.
I thought
He's alluding to
he's not,
roll away the stone, as in
yeah.
it's a Jesus reference, but that's not a tombstone. Tombstones are typically square. You don't roll them or rectangle.
Yeah, it's definitely alluding to the stone that was in front of
Hmm.
the tomb,
Right.
so it's that tombstone.
Yeah, but tombstone is a gravestone. They're square. They're
Right.
you know,
He's not
the
talking about the headstone
headstone. That's what a tombstone typically is. Although maybe that's where the term comes from. So maybe he's more accurate than I'm thinking. Maybe I'm thinking too modern. Maybe that's where the
because
maybe
right,
that's where tombstone comes from.
because in the biblical story it was there was a big stone in front of the
Okay.
cave
Okay.
and you had to roll it away to
Right. Right. Get
reveal
in.
that
Right.
he's not there.
Okay. I was thinking too modern then, but still the lone. Okay. So I'll give him a pass on that. But the Lone Ranger line, please.
I love that it's kind of snuck in at the end. Like it's just something he puts in the chorus.
Uh-huh.
I was on the fence, and then when I looked at the lyrics, I was like, this works.
And track 11, that's what I call love. Love the guitar sounds in the beginning and the bass part and tone. Nick Seymour really deserves more love. He's a brilliant bassist. Great groove. Love the call and response in the chorus. Love everything about the chaotic break. And there's a great noisy solo. I'm not sure if it's a guitar or a synth.
And I feel both of this and Tombstone both bookend well with the first track, especially this one. It feels like he goes back to doing some James Brown again here to like kind of bookend the opening.
Mm.
And there's just I kind of wish them playing around with that break in the middle lasts a little longer, where it got a little weird. I also like the voices or whatever they sampled in the middle.
Uh, so, do you recommend it?
Man, the first side is so solid. I feel like the second it stretches a little thinner, but I think there's so much on here, lyrically at least. You'll get more listens to it. So yeah, I'm gonna recommend it.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it too. There are a few iffy songs toward the end, but the rest of it is so strong. And if all you know is "Don't Dream It's Over" and maybe something so strong, as was the case for me coming in, it's definitely going to surprise you.
I kind of wonder if there should be a different track listing to this. Like I feel like that first side is so stacked that maybe it would have been better if it was spread out a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, okay, I get you. Take some of the iffier songs from the second half and just kind of weave them in to take some of the
And
emphasis.
honestly, I feel like they'd be less iffy, Like they were
Maybe,
playing it safe in some parts on those songs,
hmm
and
but
maybe
none
they
of
would
them were
have.
bad. So if you put them
No,
in with the better songs, they won't seem as bad as when they were stacked.
yeah, when you put them together, it's kind of like But if you
Mm,
mix it up a bit more, I think you'd have something like I said. I don't think "Mean to Me" is a good opening track. I'm
uh,
not sure which I'd put in with the
right.
first track, but I don't think it would be that one.
I'm tempted to say "I Love You Till the Day I Die" just for that scream. A scream is always a great way to open something.
That, you know what? You are probably right. But it is really funny between the two. We're chasing the single songs.
Yeah, yeah.
That is really funny to do that.
And that's it for Crowded House. Until next time, we'll be reviewing Clark Kent by Stuart Copeland. I think it was just Clark Kent. I think it was the artist name at the time, but it's Stuart Copeland's solo album when he was with the Police. And he wrote everything, played all the instruments. It's punk and new wave combined with a bit of like Talking Heads here and there. It's a
Nice.
brilliant album. Uh, until then, of course, always remember, never forget, wherever you go in life,
There
there you
you
are.
are.